There's something unmistakable about Aries energy. It walks into the room before they do. It's not subtle, it doesn't ask permission, and it sure as hell doesn't wait its turn. Aries is the fire starter of the Zodiac, the first sign, the spark, the one who says, let's go, while everyone else is still deciding what shoes to wear. And that attitude, it doesn't turn off. It's constant. It's in how they move, how they think, how they live. But here's the thing. If you're not an Aries, you might mistake this energy for recklessness or restlessness. It's not. Aries people aren't just running around with no purpose. They're pulled by something powerful, the need to begin, to create motion, to dive headfirst into whatever comes next. And they don't need a roadmap. They are the roadmap. This video is for you, whether you're a proud Aries, love one, or just trying to survive one. We're going deep into the 6 places Aries feels most at home, places that match their intensity, places that challenge them, excite them, and sometimes push them to the edge, just how they like it. And before we get into all that, do one quick thing for me. Hit the like button if you've ever met an Aries who absolutely refuses to be boring, and subscribe to Secret of the Zodiac. We've got more truths, laughs, and cosmic callouts coming your way. All right, ready? Let's step into the first place Aries was practically born to be. Where, you ask? Right at the starting line. Number 1, the starting line. For Aries, the starting line isn't just a moment. It's a mindset. It's a space they seek out, crave, and run toward with wild eyes and an open heart. Where others hesitate, Aries leaps. Where most people need a plan, Aries needs only a pulse. They are made for beginnings, wired to light the fuse, to feel the surge of something new rising in their chest. There's a certain rush in being first, not for the applause, not for the ego trip, but for the simple, burning truth that this is where Aries feels alive. They're not built to sit in the stands, watching the race from a distance. No, Aries wants their feet on the track, their breath in sync with adrenaline, their mind already 5 steps ahead. And this doesn't only apply to literal races, although Aries does love anything that gets the heart racing and legs moving. It's in everything they touch. A new project, they're the first to sign up. A spontaneous road trip, they've packed their bag before you finished asking. A first date, they'll be 15 minutes early and already thinking about what comes next. Because for Aries, starting isn't the hard part. Waiting is. They are allergic to stagnation. The idea of sitting still, of watching life pass them by, of getting stuck in the planning phase, it drives them mad. If it's between perfect later and messy now, Aries chooses now, every time. Perfection is optional. Motion is not. This is why Aries thrives in environments that require bold action. Entrepreneurial spaces, startups, innovation hubs, anywhere there's a call for fearless leadership, Aries shows up like they've been personally invited by destiny. It's not about taking risks for the sake of chaos. It's about responding to that inner voice that whispers, you are made for this. Go. And yes, sometimes that means they move too fast. Sometimes they get in over their heads, but Aries doesn't regret the fall, only the times they held back. They believe life is for those who show up, step forward, and say yes even when the outcome is unclear. That's what the starting line offers. A moment before the world has told them no. A clean slate. A chance to launch. And that launch is sacred. Think about the kind of person who hears about a business idea on Monday and files the paperwork by Tuesday. Or someone who decides to learn a new skill and by the end of the week has already bought the gear, joined the forum, and started their first project. That's Aries. Not because they're trying to impress, but because they're following an internal fire that doesn't allow hesitation. Once the idea sparks, they have to move. To stall would be betrayal. This is why so many Aries are pioneers in their own lives. They don't wait for permission. They don't need to see someone else do it first. They are the first in their family to take a risk, the first in a group to speak up, the first in a room to say, let's make this happen. And sure, sometimes their enthusiasm can come off as impulsive or even reckless. But the truth is, someone has to go first. Aries doesn't mind being the one who breaks trail, even if it means getting a few scrapes along the way. The starting line is also deeply personal. It's not just about external achievement. It's about the thrill of becoming. Aries lives in the rush of what could be, that moment when nothing's happened yet, but everything is possible. The future is wide open, and Aries is already halfway down the road. And when you understand that, you begin to understand why Aries sometimes seems impatient. It's not that they're rude or dismissive. It's that they see 10 steps ahead, and they want to be there already. They want to feel their feet moving. They want to do. And more than that, they want to lead. Because the starting line isn't just a place of action, it's a place of leadership. Aries shines when others are hesitating. They become magnetic in uncertainty. While the world stutters, Aries speaks. While others freeze, Aries charges ahead. And that leadership might look brash on the surface, but underneath it is courage. Not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear have the final word. That's why the starting line in all its forms feels like home to Aries. It's where their best traits come alive. Courage, energy, passion, drive. It's also where they feel most seen, not for what they've done, but for the way they begin, the way they try, the way they remind the rest of us that beginnings are sacred and that momentum is magic. Of course, this isn't without its challenges. Aries can burn out fast if they're constantly chasing new beginnings without follow-through. But even that is a lesson they're willing to learn the hard way. Because for Aries, the pain of trying and failing is nothing compared to the regret of never trying at all. And maybe that's what makes them special. While others are waiting for the perfect moment, Aries is already halfway through the door. They teach us that the starting line isn't a place to fear. It's a place to meet ourselves, raw, ready, and completely alive. And once they've launched, where do they go next? Right into the storm. Because if there's one thing Aries loves just as much as starting something new, it's being in the middle of the action. Number 2, the eye of the storm. Because if there's one thing Aries loves just as much as starting something new, it's being in the middle of the action. Some people avoid chaos. Aries, they run toward it, not because they're reckless, but because their soul is wired to feel the heat of life as it's happening. They don't want the edited version. They want the behind the scenes, the mess, the motion, the madness. And while everyone else is ducking for cover, Aries is stepping into the eye of the storm, calm in the center, electric at the edges. Picture it. A music festival with crowds pressed shoulder to shoulder, lights strobing, bass shaking the ground. Aries is in the middle, hands up, heart pounding, fully alive. Or think about a political rally, a heated debate, a last-minute crisis at work. Wherever tensions rise and energy crackles, Aries isn't backing away. They want in. They want to be part of the pulse, because that's where their instincts sharpen, where their fire gets fed. This doesn't mean Aries creates drama. It means they're drawn to life in motion. Stillness bores them. Predictability puts them to sleep. They'd rather feel overwhelmed than underwhelmed, because even chaos feels more honest than routine. In the storm, things are real, raw, unfiltered. That's where Aries thrives. They're not afraid of noise. In fact, they often are the noise, the one raising their voice in the meeting, the one asking the uncomfortable question, the one challenging the stale old structure that's just sitting there collecting dust. Aries knows that if you want change, you have to shake the ground a little, and they're more than willing to stomp. Even in their social lives, this trait shines. Aries isn't the friend who wants to sit silently in a corner at a cafe for 3 hours. They want plans, action, a little risk, a little spice. They want to be out in the world, at events, parties, spontaneous gatherings. And if there's nothing happening, Aries will make something happen. They're the initiator, the spark, the one who texts the group chat with, "We're doing something tonight. Be ready." They don't wait for the invitation. They are the invitation. This appetite for action isn't random. It's how Aries processes life. They learn by doing. They grow by reacting. They heal by moving. Stillness doesn't bring clarity for them. Motion does. So when things go wrong, when life feels turbulent, Aries doesn't retreat. They push through. That's their version of self-trust. charging into the unknown and figuring it out mid-flight. Of course, that can look messy from the outside. It can seem like they're drawn to conflict or like they stir the pot just for fun. But what's really happening is that Aries doesn't fear intensity. They embrace it. They know that discomfort is part of growth, and they'll take real friction over fake peace any day. Because in the storm, they find out who they really are. They discover what they're made of when the world stops pretending everything's fine. When the pressure's on, Aries gets clear, focused, alive. That's when they show up with their full force, whether it's to protect, to solve, to fix, or to fight. When others shut down, Aries turns on. This makes them incredible in emergencies. Need someone to stay calm while everyone else is panicking? Call in Aries. They won't crumble. They'll take charge. That's their nature. Not because they need control, but because they believe that action beats fear every time. They don't have time to spiral. They're already 2 steps into the solution. And it's not always high-stakes, dramatic stuff. Sometimes the storm is just the chaos of daily life. Running late, juggling a dozen things at once, handling unexpected shifts. Aries doesn't collapse under pressure. They respond to it. In fact, a little chaos can even make them better, sharper, faster, more intuitive. They have a 6th sense for when something's about to go off the rails, and they'll be the first to step in and steer the ship. They don't wait to be asked. If they see a need, they act. If they see a problem, they speak up. It's not about being right, it's about moving forward, always. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Aries doesn't just survive the storm, they enjoy it. The unpredictability, the energy, the constant demand to stay sharp, it suits them. It's like their inner fire finally gets to meet the outside world. They're not trying to be heroes. They're just trying to stay awake, because stillness, emotional, mental, physical, is where Aries loses their edge. They feel dulled in routines, drained by monotony, suffocated by silence. Give them a little noise, a little challenge, and they're suddenly themselves again. It's not about drama, it's about presence. Aries is fully present when everything around them is shifting. That's when they feel most connected to themselves, to others, to the moment, and that's the real magic. Their ability to not just survive chaos, but to find clarity in it. So whether it's the center of a packed room, the middle of a heated conversation, or the front lines of a problem that no one else wants to touch, Aries is there. Not because they have to be, because they want to be. Because in the storm, they are at home. And once they've danced with the chaos, once the dust begins to settle and the adrenaline starts to fade, there's one question that naturally follows. Now what? Where do they go once the fire slows and the noise dies down? That's where we find Aries in their next favorite place. Not in the storm, but in the seat of power. Because when the chaos clears, it's time to lead. Number 3, the command center. Because when the chaos clears, it's time to lead. And no one steps into that role faster or with more fire than Aries. Leadership is not a title to Aries. It's a reflex. They don't need a crown, a nameplate, or anyone's permission. The moment a situation opens up, a vacuum of decision, a moment of uncertainty, a room full of hesitation, Aries feels that pull. They stand up, speak out, and take the wheel. It's not about ego, it's instinct. You'll often find Aries right at the heart of the operation, not because they demanded the spotlight, but because they couldn't stand to see things stall. That's how the command center becomes their natural habitat. They don't sit back and watch. They lean in, act fast, and rally others to move forward. Whether it's leading a team at work, running point in a family crisis, or organizing a last-minute weekend trip that somehow ends up legendary, Aries brings vision and momentum. They don't just tell people what to do, they show them. They lead by doing. They inspire with action, and they keep it real while doing it. Their leadership style is raw and reactive. It's not always polished, but it's powerful. Aries doesn't waste time with endless discussion or overthinking. They see a path and take it. That kind of decisiveness is rare and honestly, kind of magnetic. People notice, people follow, not because Aries begs for loyalty, but because they make others feel brave just by being near them. But leadership isn't all about action. It's also about pressure. And Aries, they carry it like a badge of honor. They'll shoulder more than their share, take on extra work, absorb the blame if things go sideways, all because they care. They may not always show it in soft ways, but Aries leads with heart. They take responsibility personally. They want things to work, and they want people to win, especially the people they believe in. In the command center, Aries is a force. They're the ones setting the tone, shaking up the status quo, asking the hard questions when no one else will. Their courage can be intimidating. Their confidence can be loud. But beneath that flame is a deep drive to build something real, something bold, honest, and worth following. Think about the last time you were in a group situation and things started to drift. People unsure, direction unclear, energy dropping. Who stepped up? Who took initiative? Who said, "All right, here's what we're doing"? There's a high chance it was an Aries. They're not afraid of being the first to move or the one who risks being wrong, because they'd rather act and adjust later than sit in the paralysis of indecision. And it's not just in high-stakes environments. Aries takes command in everyday life too. Planning a dinner? They'll pick the restaurant and make the reservation. Group project? They'll divide tasks and keep everyone on schedule. Even on vacation, Aries can't help but lead the charge, finding the best spots, organizing the itinerary, getting everyone out of bed. It's not that they want control, they just can't stand stagnation. But Aries doesn't just command space, they command energy. Their presence alone can shift a room. They walk in and things start to move. Conversations pick up, plans begin forming. There's a buzz around them, even when they're not trying to create it. That's the effect of someone who knows what they want and isn't afraid to chase it. This can rub some people the wrong way. Aries' energy is strong. It's direct. It doesn't tiptoe. But that's also what makes them unforgettable. In a world full of second-guessing and sugarcoating, Aries says what they mean and does what they say. That kind of clarity cuts through noise like a blade. And while they may clash with more passive personalities, they're not here to coast. They're here to ignite. Of course, leadership comes with friction. Aries will clash with authority if they sense weakness. They'll challenge rules if those rules feel outdated. They'll question decisions that don't make sense. But this isn't rebellion for the sake of ego. It's a deep-rooted need to make things better. Aries doesn't want power to control people. They want power to protect, to push progress, to make something happen. They're natural trailblazers, the kind of people who go first, not because they want to be worshipped, but because they want to prove that it can be done. They take the risk so others don't have to. They walk through fire to show the path is real. That's what leadership means to Aries. It's not glory, it's responsibility. And when things go wrong, because they inevitably do, Aries owns it. They may blow up in the moment, but give them a second to breathe, and they'll be the first to say, "That's on me." They don't run from failure. They learn from it, fast, and they get right back up even fiercer than before. This resilience is part of what makes them so effective in leadership roles. They don't crumble under criticism. They don't fold in the face of doubt. If anything, it lights a fire under them. Aries hears, "You can't," and translates it to, "Watch me." They take negativity and use it as rocket fuel. That kind of unshakable confidence isn't born. It's built, and Aries builds it every time they stand up, speak out, and take charge, even when it's uncomfortable. And still, leadership doesn't exhaust them. It feeds them. It gives them purpose. It gives them a place to channel all that intensity, all that energy, all that drive. When Aries is leading, they feel aligned. They feel seen. They feel like themselves. But once the command center is stable, once the team is on track and the mission is rolling forward, Aries begins to itch again. They don't like to sit in maintenance mode. They crave a new challenge, a fresh fight, something to stretch them, to scare them a little, to wake them up. Because for all their passion and leadership, Aries is still a creature of fire, and fire needs fuel. So what happens when they've launched the mission, survived the storm, taken command, and now they need to feel alive again? That's when Aries does what they do best. They chase the rush. They head straight to the next place they love to be, where the heart races, where the risk is real, where adrenaline is part of the experience. Number 4, the adrenaline arena. So what happens when Aries has taken the lead, organized the mission, and steadied the chaos? They go looking for something that jolts them back into the edge. They chase the rush. They need a new battlefield, not for control, but for sensation. And that's when they step into the adrenaline arena, their playground of risk, thrill, and pure intensity. Adrenaline isn't just a high for Aries. It's a requirement. It's how they feel real, fully engaged, present. Where some signs seek calm or comfort, Aries seeks out the spike, the heart-pounding, nerve-jangling surge that comes right before the leap. It's not self-destruction. It's how they wake up. It's how they stay awake. Because for Aries, routine is a slow death. They'd rather crash trying something wild than sit safely watching from the sidelines. That edge of your seat moment, the one where you're unsure, unsteady, slightly terrified, that's where Aries feels centered. That's where they find themselves again. Raw, real, alive. Think about the people who sign up for bungee jumping on a whim, who say yes to ziplining without blinking, who treat every road as a racetrack and every challenge like it was designed just for them. That's Aries energy in motion. There's something deeply personal about testing their limits, not to prove a point to others, but to feel that spark of danger and say, I'm still here, I still got it. They'll chase physical thrills, skydiving, rock climbing, boxing, surfing, snowboarding, anything that demands courage and precision in the same breath. These aren't just hobbies to Aries, they're lifelines. They shake off the fog, silence the noise, and reconnect them with their fire. And it's not just about sports or extreme activities. The adrenaline arena shows up in everyday Aries life too. Speaking in front of a huge audience, they might be nervous, but they love it. Starting a business with no safety net, that's their language. Making a bold move in a relationship, they'd rather leap than hesitate. Every time the stakes are high, Aries leans in. They're built for heat. They rise under pressure. They perform in high-intensity zones where everything matters and there's no time to second-guess. This is why Aries is often found in careers that demand quick thinking and fast reactions. First responders, entrepreneurs, journalists, athletes, performers, military roles. They thrive where others freeze. They move where others pause. Even their creativity is fast-burning. Aries can create something brilliant in the heat of a deadline or in the rush of a new idea. They don't need long, quiet mornings with a cup of tea to get inspired. They need a ticking clock, a roaring fire, a reason to jump. Pressure doesn't block them. It unlocks them. That's because Aries trusts their instincts. They don't need to prepare endlessly to feel ready. They feel their readiness in their gut. And in the adrenaline arena, that gut instinct becomes their greatest weapon. It's split-second decisions. It's courage under fire. It's choosing to leap before logic can talk them down. And yes, this can backfire. They can crash, burn, or bite off more than they can chew. But Aries doesn't see failure the way others do. They'd rather fall fast and learn something real than tiptoe forever and learn nothing. The risk isn't in the fall. The risk is in the stall. Aries can't afford to get stuck. That would hurt more than any scraped knee or bruised ego ever could. There's something incredibly magnetic about this trait. People are drawn to Aries not just because they're brave, but because they act on their bravery. They inspire others to do the same, to break free of hesitation, to say yes, to feel more, to try, even if the outcome is uncertain. And that, right there, is the secret of Aries in the adrenaline arena. They embrace uncertainty. They don't need a guarantee. They don't need a soft landing. They just need the leap. Because in that brief second, when both feet are off the ground, when the outcome is unknown, when control is surrendered, they come alive. And it's not always reckless. In fact, Aries can be remarkably focused in these moments. Their vision sharpens, their senses heighten, their mind clears. This is where their fire becomes fuel. Not just heat, but purpose. They're not just jumping for the thrill. They're chasing evolution. Every leap teaches them something. Every risk grows them. Every win affirms their strength. And every loss, it feeds their next move. But not everyone understands this about Aries. People may say they're addicted to chaos, that they can't sit still, that they're always chasing something just out of reach. And maybe there's some truth in that, but it's not emptiness they're chasing. It's intensity. It's truth. It's a moment that means something. Because the worst thing Aries can feel isn't fear. It's numbness. They don't want to live a muted life. They want to taste it all. The fire, the pain, the high, the fall. And in the adrenaline arena, there's no numbing. There's no distraction. Just pure presence. Just Aries and the moment. Even in relationships, this shows up. Aries wants passion, spark, movement. They want a partner who can ride the highs and survive the lows. Someone who doesn't shy away from intense feelings or deep dives. A connection that feels safe but never stagnant. Exciting but still rooted. That's rare. But when Aries finds it, someone who keeps up, who matches their drive, who challenges them and cheers them on, they go all in. But again, when the rush fades, because it always does, Aries starts to feel the tug again, the need for something new. Not because they're ungrateful or unstable, but because they're wired for motion. They need to keep evolving, keep pushing, keep reaching for that next edge. And that's where we see Aries return to something that may surprise you. After all the motion, the fire, the thrill, there's a place Aries goes not to be seen, but to be alone. Not to impress, but to build. It's not a stage. It's not a crowd. It's not even a battlefield. It's a quiet space where no one's watching, where the mission is personal, where the only competition is themselves. Number 5, the lone wolf path. After all the noise, the leadership, the adrenaline, and the external victories, Aries does something surprising. They disappear, not in a dramatic, cut everyone off kind of way, but in a focused, tunnel vision, I need to do this my way kind of way. It's not rejection. It's not avoidance. It's strategy. It's healing. It's evolution. It's what I call the lone wolf path. Because for all their fire and extroversion, Aries is also fiercely independent. At their core, they are not groupthink people. They're not consensus seekers. They're trailblazers. And sometimes, in order to blaze the next trail, they need to walk it alone. This is the part of Aries that isn't always visible to the world. It's not loud, it's not flashy. It's the Aries who stays up at 3 a.m. sketching out a business idea, grinding at the gym with headphones in, pouring themselves into a project nobody asked for, just because something inside them needs to be built, needs to be won, needs to be finished. Because Aries isn't just about raw energy. They're about self-mastery. And that doesn't happen in crowds. It happens when they retreat, tighten the circle, cut the noise, and lock in on what matters most. The lone wolf path is where Aries goes to sharpen the blade. Mentally, physically, creatively, spiritually. It's easy to think of Aries as constantly social, always leading, always moving. But Aries knows when to pull back, when to cut out the fluff, when to shut the door and do the work in silence. That's what makes them so dangerous in the best way. Their power doesn't depend on anyone else watching. They're not performing, they're building. This solitude isn't loneliness, it's intention. When Aries goes quiet, it's not because they're lost, it's because they've locked on. It means something inside them has shifted. A new goal, a new challenge, a new version of themselves that they're chasing. And in those moments, they're relentless. They'll cut distractions with military precision. They'll restructure their entire routine. They'll push themselves past exhaustion, past doubt, past excuses. Because once Aries is in, they're all in. There's no halfway. There's no, let's see how it goes. There's only go. They don't need validation, they need results. Aries doesn't build things to be praised. They build because the fire inside them demands it. Whether it's a body transformation, a brand launch, a new skill, or a mental breakthrough. Aries is constantly pushing themselves to become stronger, sharper, more dangerous in their own lane. And this path, it can be brutal, lonely, frustrating. There's no applause in this phase, no crowd, no scoreboard. Just early mornings, late nights, and a mind that refuses to settle. But Aries loves it, because this is where they prove it. Not to the world, to themselves. They thrive on the chase, the grind, the sweat. They want to feel the strain because it means they're growing. They want to feel the doubt because it means they're close to something real. And once they've made up their mind, good luck stopping them. They're also protective of this phase. If you try to pull them out of it, distract them, slow them down, or second-guess their vision, they'll shut you out. Not with anger, but with clarity. Aries doesn't explain their grind. They live it. You either get it or you don't. But don't expect them to compromise it. And what they build during this time, it sticks. Because it's not hype. It's earned. It's sweat and scars and hours that nobody saw. Aries knows that true strength isn't what you flex when people are watching. It's what you fight for when no one claps. This lone wolf energy also protects Aries emotionally. When life breaks down, when relationships crumble or plans fall apart, Aries withdraws to rebuild. They won't wallow for long. They'll go silent, tighten up, recalibrate. Then they come back stronger, colder, clearer, ready. It's the rebirth part of the Aries cycle. Burn, rebuild, return. And this cycle is not a one-time thing. Aries walks this path often. Each time they shed a layer, upgrade the system, add another scar. Each time they get faster, smarter, louder, or quieter, when quiet becomes the sharper tool. It's also on this path that Aries gains wisdom, because fire without direction can burn everything down. But fire with direction, it becomes light, fuel, transformation. The lone wolf path isn't just about grinding, it's about evolving, burning away what's no longer needed, forging something new. And maybe that's why Aries respects other lone wolves. People who work in silence, people who don't broadcast every move, people who chase something deeper than likes, followers, or instant validation. Aries sees that and nods, because they know what it costs to walk that path and what it gives back. Still, even the lone wolf eventually looks up after the work is done, after the next level is earned. There's a moment when Aries returns, ready to re-enter the world, not as who they were, but as who they've become. And when they do, something shifts again. Because while Aries can thrive alone, there's still a fire sign. And fire, it spreads. It wants to connect, to challenge, to clash, to rise, which is exactly why the next place Aries needs to be is the one where rules are meant to be tested. Number 6, the rule breaker's playground. Because once Aries has returned from their solo mission, sharper, stronger, and more dialed in than ever, there's only one place left that truly calls to their fire next. The place where limits are challenged, where authority is questioned, where expectations are smashed and rewritten, where most people back down, Aries steps up. This is what we call the rule breaker's playground. For Aries, rules were made to be tested, not blindly followed. It's not about being rebellious just for the sake of it. It's about freedom and power. Aries doesn't break rules to be difficult. They break them because they see through them. They can smell when something's outdated, restrictive, unfair, or just flat out stupid, and they don't wait for permission to change it. Whether it's school, work, relationships, society, or even the way they're supposed to act, Aries is wired to push against the mold. They challenge the default, they confront the norm, and more often than not, they're the first person to say the thing everyone else is too scared to voice. And yeah, that can get messy, because when Aries starts challenging rules, it makes people uncomfortable. Systems don't like to be questioned. Quiet rooms don't like loud truths. But Aries doesn't mind discomfort. In fact, they almost welcome it. If things get tense when they speak up, that's a sign they're hitting something real. The rule breaker's playground is any space where Aries feels the friction of restriction and gets that itch to rewrite the script. It could be a rigid workplace where creativity is crushed by process, or a relationship full of passive-aggressive boundaries and unspoken expectations, or a society that still wants people, especially women, especially marginalized voices, to sit down and behave. To all of that, Aries says, nope, Aries is allergic to fake peace. They'd rather tell the truth and deal with the fallout than swallow their voice to keep the vibe nice. That's not a rebellion. That's integrity. And it's part of why Aries is often seen as confrontational when really, they're just clear. They don't rebel for attention. They rebel for alignment. They want what's real. They want to move how they're built to move. And when someone tries to box them in, their instinct is to kick the walls down. You'll see this energy in the Aries kid who questions the teacher, the Aries employee who refuses to follow a broken process, the Aries activist who says enough when everyone else is still whispering. You'll see it in how they dress, how they date, how they post online, how they chase goals. Aries does things their own way, even if it's harder, even if it costs more, even if it means doing it all alone. And the thing is, Aries is usually right, not always, but often. Their instincts are sharp. Their BS radar is elite. They can spot hypocrisy from a mile away. And if something smells wrong, they're not waiting for confirmation. They're calling it out. This kind of energy makes Aries both loved and feared. People admire their courage, but also feel challenged by it. Aries doesn't play the game. They change it. They walk into a room and everyone feels it. Not because they're loud, though they can be, but because they carry truth, and truth always rattles the walls. Now the playground part, that's key, because breaking rules isn't just serious business to Aries. It's fun, it's thrilling, it's creative. Aries doesn't just tear things down. They build new ways of doing things, better ways, faster ways, more honest ways. They don't stop at "this sucks." They move right into "here's what we do instead." And this makes them innovators, entrepreneurs, revolutionaries, artists, architects of new realities. Aries doesn't just burn down the old, they create what's next. The rule breaker's playground isn't chaos for chaos's sake. It's a forge, a testing ground, a laboratory for better living. You'll find Aries thriving in startups, indie scenes, protest movements, counterculture, underground art, street fashion, new media, wherever something new is being born and old systems are being questioned. Aries energy is present, not in the background, at the front, because Aries isn't afraid to go first. They'll say what needs to be said, do what hasn't been done, break what needs breaking, and then build something no one saw coming. And here's what makes Aries truly dangerous in the best way. They don't need to be liked, they want to be respected. But even that isn't necessary. What they need is freedom. What they need is motion. What they need is the truth to be out in the open, whether people clap or not. This detachment from approval is what makes Aries unstoppable. They're not playing by your rules, because they're not trying to win your game. They're building their own arena. And in that space, they own it. This doesn't mean Aries is immune to doubt. Far from it. They feel it, but they move through it. And when they do, they become the kind of person others look to in times of change. Because deep down, everyone's waiting for someone brave enough to break the rules first. Aries is that someone. But even rule breakers need rest. Even fire needs containment. And even warriors need space to reflect. So after the protest, the creation, the shake-up, where does Aries go? Not back to the center of the storm, not back to the starting line, but to the people, to the community, to the circle where fire meets fire. You've just walked through the fire with Aries. You've seen the 6 places where this sign doesn't just show up, it dominates. Places where Aries doesn't have to pretend or fit in, because the space itself was practically built for them. It started at the beginning, of course, where Aries always lives. We explored the starting line, that electric space of raw potential and movement. Aries doesn't wait around. If the idea is good, they're in. If the door's closed, they'll find another one, or break it down. The starting line isn't just where things begin. For Aries, it's where they come alive. Then we dove into the eye of the storm, that chaotic, unpredictable space that makes most people freeze. But not Aries. That's where they focus. While others panic, Aries acts. While others retreat, they engage. They are the calm inside the fire, the voice inside the noise. After that, we found them in the command center. Aries steps up when no one else wants the responsibility. They lead fast, they lead boldly, and they lead by doing. No theory, no fluff, just direction, action, and results. But leadership isn't enough for Aries without the thrill. That's why we found them again in the adrenaline arena. The cliff edge, the fight, the challenge that gets their heart racing. Aries needs to push boundaries physically and mentally. They want to feel life in their chest, not just read about it in someone else's story. And then came a surprising twist. The lone wolf path, the side of Aries that isn't loud or flashy. The version of them that vanishes to build something in silence, that dials in, gets obsessed, and won't come up for air until the goal is real. Aries isn't just energy, they're disciplined too. Finally, we stepped into the rule breakers playground, where Aries questions everything. Authority, tradition, social codes, the normal way. They don't push back for the fun of it. They push because they know there's always a better way. And they aren't afraid to be the first one through the wall. Each of these spaces reflects something vital about Aries, not just who they are, but why they move the way they do, why they speak with urgency, why they chase intensity, why they act even when others hesitate. Aries doesn't want half a life. They want all of it. The noise, the clarity, the heat, the silence. They want challenge, change, growth, and freedom. Not someday, right now. And if you made it this far, you either are one or you know one. You've seen that fire up close. Maybe it inspired you. Maybe it confused you, but it never left you unchanged. Because Aries doesn't walk into your life quietly. They come in like a signal flare. They demand more from you, from life, from the moment. And honestly, we need that. Now, if this video spoke to you, if it helped you understand yourself better, or gave you insight into someone in your life, here's how you can help us keep this channel alive and growing. First, subscribe to Secret of the Zodiac. This isn't just a channel, it's a home for real astrology. Sharp, honest, creative, and personal. If you like this video, you'll love what's coming next. Second, hit the like button. It tells the platform that this kind of content matters, that people are connecting with it, that we're building something valuable here. Third, and this one matters, drop a comment below. Not just a reaction, but a story. Tell us, what was your favorite Aries place? Which one hit the hardest? Which one describes you or someone you can't forget? We want this comment section to turn into a conversation, something real, because astrology isn't just about symbols, it's about people, and your voice matters here. Finally, if you want to support the channel even more directly, consider using the Super Thanks feature below this video. It's a way to leave a one-time donation. Nothing automatic, no hidden costs. Just a simple way to say, this helped me. Keep going. Every single Super Thanks helps us cover production costs, research time, editing, scripting, voiceover, visuals, everything it takes to bring these Zodiac deep dives to life. With your support, we can keep pushing for higher quality, more frequent uploads, and even daily videos. So if this kind of content matters to you, and you want more of it, consider showing some love through Super Thanks. It goes further than you think. We don't have a big company behind this. Just time, effort, passion, and a mission to create something meaningful for people who actually care about astrology that hits deep. We appreciate every view, every word you share, every bit of support. Now go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, and if you can, help us grow through Super Thanks. And tell us this, what's one time you broke the rules and it changed your life? We'll be reading. See you in the next video.